Hey, welcome everyone to the From the Shadows podcast. I am your host, Shane Grove. And before we get started with this exciting episode today, I want to remind everybody that you can go check us out at FromTheShadowsPodcast.com. And from there, you can find all of our social media links. You can find, it'll take you to Instagram, all of the two Facebook links, TikTok, whatever else, all kinds of crazy stuff. And if you have a story that you want to share with us or share with me, you hit the contact pay or button, and you can send me an email and describe your experience, especially if you want to come on and share on the show. I'll definitely get back to you. And if you want to get a hold of me directly, you can find me on Instagram at Shane Grove Author, and just send me a message. And you can find me on Facebook too. I get all the messages one way or another, sooner or later. Hopefully it's sooner than later. So with that being said, longtime loyal listeners of the show know that, we're based in Ohio, and we love everything Ohio. We love all the stories, all of our guests bring, but we especially love Ohio stories. And joining me today with one of the most compelling stories I've heard in a long, long time is Ruben from way down south in Ohio. I mean, at least farther south than me. So, Ruben, welcome to the From the Shadows podcast.
How's it going? Nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you too. And okay, so I'm just going to preface this a little bit, Ruben. You reached out to me through an email, and immediately you knew the keywords to get my attention: Dogman, werewolf experience. And because from the area that you are calling from, or that you experience this stuff, we've had other eyewitnesses on the show. But once we started talking, it kind of blew my mind of what I think is really going on. So I want you to tell the listeners. I've already heard the story. I want you to tell the listeners the same story that you relayed to me, and then we can kind of dissect it a little bit. And I'm so curious to hear what fans are going to think of this story. So go for it, Ruben.
This is my first werewolf guy. Prior to this, I wouldn't believe anything. If you would have said you saw a werewolf, I'd probably make fun of you. I was just a young kid, just living life, pouring concrete, just trying to play metal music, building drift cars, just living life, And one of my friends has an uncle who was going through a divorce, and we just randomly decided to just take him hunting one day, because he's an old hillbilly, just a country boy, and what better place to cheer somebody up than go hunting, We don't plan anything. Like I said, we're just men. We're just living. We didn't plan this trip. We just spontaneously just got together and decided to leave. And this was one of Jerry's secret spots. I've never been here, but just to let you know, I picked up a lot of hobbies while working for the city. One of it was archery, and I love shooting. I don't like killing animals. I shot a lot of kids, but I don't like killing for fun. And so we spontaneously just decided to go hunting at this place called Shawnee State. It's one of Jerry's spots. It was right next to a place where they collect dopus, down there. And so we just packed our stuff and left, right? We get to this place, and it was like a 2-day adventure. I send you the location of the entrance. I sent you a picture of the entrance, and I sent you the trail that we were on. And I marked the spot where I saw the dome, all the trees being knocked down, and it looked like a dome valley. But anyways, we get to this place, right? And I've never been here, so I'm just walking. I'm just I like to when I hunt, I like to walk around with a whisker biscuit and just look for trails and whatnot. You know what I mean? Sitting in the tree stand and baiting deer. That's just I don't like doing that. Plus, I'm not a hunter. Like I said, I just like shooting shit. And the first day we got there, it was mid-afternoon. Oh, just let me say this to you. This was the last day of bow season and the first day of gun.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was like the last day for bows, and it was that day. I remember that. So we get there and we're walking. We walked that trail all the way up to the top of the valleys, looking down the ravines all day. We didn't see anything. And, I walked to the very top, and as I'm walking the trail, I noticed this open area where there was just a bunch of like trees knocked down. It was kind of awkward at first because I'm like, I operate heavy equipment. So I know the damage that you make while knocking trees down and clearing land in general. And I noticed the spot, right? Didn't pay attention to anything and just continued on walking till it got nighttime, dude. It got dark. Like we're out in the valleys and it's still dark. And we had to walk our way back. So me, Jerry, and Jafin, 3 of us went. We all got to the very top and we all split it 3 ways. I mean, each took pretty much southwest. You know what I mean? We just put ourselves in a triangle formation and just laid put. So we're out there all day and we don't see nothing. You know what I mean? We're heading back, and it's getting nighttime. You know what I mean? It is dark. Usually, you can walk in the night with a little bit of a moonlight and a little bit of shine. You know what I mean? But once you get underneath trees, it's like an umbrella just covering, and you can only put your hand in front. You can't see. You know what I mean? But when you're walking in the middle of the night, the trees don't overlap each other. So there's a little bit of a path that the light sees through. You know what I mean? So you can kind of see where you're going. You know what I mean? You can walk in pitch black, but you can see the different shades. Green, black, And we're walking back, right? It's dark. It's just real late. You know what I mean? Jafin's in the front, Jerry's in the middle, and I'm in the back. And I reached a point where we're walking back, and I get back to where those trees are knocked down. And it's shaped like a bowl, right? And where I send you that location. So I'm standing on one side, right? And I look to my left, and I noticed a row of lights. And these lights were evenly spaced out. There were like 7 of them. 7, 8. Maybe somewhere around there, And these lights were not illuminating. They were like neon lights, like glow in the dark, those glow in the dark lights where they only shine, but they only shine like 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
casting whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I see the lights, right? And I'm looking to my left, like, and I saw these and I thought they were people with side by sides. I thought they were off road utility, you know what I mean? Because all of a sudden I started hearing it sounded like thousands, like hundreds of people whispering, talking. It sounded like I saw the lights and it sounded like you're at the bar, the DJ shuts the music off, and there's just thousands of people just mumbling, yapping, just chit chatting away. And I'm just looking, man, these guys are just blasting fucking side by sides. I'm right here, so you know what I mean? I'm not giving a shit about these lights. Just to let you know, I'm tired. You know what I mean?
So you see the lights over there, you hear the sound, but you're not alarmed. You're just like you just think it's people over there and they're messing around, and you're just like
in the middle of nowhere, just because I have a side by side. Yeah, I bought one at this encounter because I went crazy. And yeah, dude. So I hear these lights and I'm not giving a shit. And I'm walking, right? So when I'm walking in the middle of that dome section that you can see in that trail how it makes like a little U. You know what I mean? I'm walking in the middle of the U. And I'm walking and I'm looking, hearing these lights, and it's just chit chat. And I mean, and I'm like, just like, man, these guys are just, I'm just like, man, they're in the middle of nowhere, dude. What the fuck? Why are these people out here partying? You know what I mean? Like, there's a huge party going on, you know? And I get to the other tip top of that bowl, you know? And I'm looking at these lights, and I'm looking in front of me, and it's pitch black. It's dark. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I'm gonna pick up one of my. I'm walking, right, and I'm wearing a ghillie suit. Just to let you know, I look like a assassin. You know what I mean? I'm wearing like this cool looking ghillie suit. You know what I mean? Like head cover, like the ghillie suit everybody wants to buy. Now I got one. You know, and I'm walking, right. I'm just chilling. When all of a sudden I witnessed this is what I felt, right? Like a lot of people, when they see Dogman, they're like, oh, it's right there. You know what I mean? I saw it driving by or whatever. Like that was not mine. Like my body picked it up. Like my body awared me of whatever this thing was. You know what I mean? So this is the steps that happen. So I'm walking. And my breath goes like from clear to like this mist. My breath goes from like this clear to mist. I literally watched the tree limbs, the grass, the crickets, the birds, everything shut up and freeze. Things didn't just stop. Like a lot of people think like, no, these stuff all froze in time. You know what I mean? Everything froze in time. My breath was out. The hairs on my body stood up and then pointed behind me like a compass, like an arrow just pointed. You know what I mean? I turn around, right? And I look and I see big giant eyes. And they're not looking at me. They're looking at the ground. You know what I mean? They're looking at the ground. It's just sniffing. Just sniffing. You know what I mean? And I thought it was like the biggest deer I've ever seen. Because Jerry told me that they're monsters. Not these kind of monsters, you know what I mean? He told me there were monsters out here like deer. You know what I mean? So I, without hesitation, I literally just pulled my bow, aimed, and shot. You know? I aimed at this thing and shot, and what I saw next changed like the way things are. You know what I mean? I watched these eyes go from sniffing the ground to dodging to really leaning, looking at my arrows, went by. All of a sudden, this thing went. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, this thing started. This, this all of a sudden, it is walking. It is not walking. It does not walk. It glided side to side while twisting his neck, looking right at me. You know what I mean? And it was walking back and forth like it was saying, "I can't believe he shot at me." Type of feel. You know what I mean? That I got from this. You know?
So I just want to stop you one second because you're moving the phone there, so the mic kind of went away. So you shot at it, it dodged. You watched for what you could see of it. Okay, it dodged and then started moving around, looking like, where did that come from? And then it figured out you were there, and you got the impression it was like, I can't believe you just did that.
Yes, I got that impression. And yeah, after it did that, like when I shot at it, it was low to the ground, and I watched this thing rise. It went halfway up the trees. So to me, that was like 12 to 15 because these trees and those woods, they're huge. Good. You know what I mean? They're big trees, you know? And when I watched this thing rise, right? I watched this thing rise, and it looked at me, and it started swaying right back and forth. It started swaying back. And all of a sudden, dude, I felt like we locked eyes. You know what I mean? This thing knows where I'm at, and I know where it's at. You know what I mean? Like we're eye contact. We're face to face looking at each other. So we locked eyes, and I watched this thing rise. And when it rose and started walking side to side, it stepped into the light, stepped into the path. So I got to see I got to see its face. I got to see its whole body feature. I know what this.
So before we keep going, so how far away are you from this creature at this point in time?
It's about like 90 yards.
About 90 yards. Okay. And so initially when you saw eyes and just knew that and weren't really clear on what these eyes were attached to. And then once you could figure out that it stood up, you understood this is not a deer standing up on its hind legs. But there was enough light though that when it stepped into the light, you could see a shape and see it clear. What did you see? Like describe to me what this thing looked like.
The face it was very sharp. It was very sharp. It was built, the long arms, like they say, but when it stepped into the light, its cheeks reminded me of the leprechaun from the old school movie. Yeah, the killer leprechaun that has them like real, like rolly, like chunky cheeks, like right here, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, he's constantly like this. You know what I mean? He's constantly having this grin on him. He's very sharp, but the eyes, dude. When I looked at it and I saw its eyes, it was like yellowish, greenish, turquoise with blue. Like it was. People talk about these red or green eyes. Like the eyes that I looked at looked like oil on water.
And when you say sharp, do you mean like a Doberman sharp or so like what?
In sharp, I mean like sharp shadow features.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there's like the darkness of the trees, and there's the darkness of it. Like it's darker than the trees. I mean, that's why it blends in so well, because you don't imagine it to be so earthy.
So it like just looked like a dark shadow creature, sort of. But you could
Yeah,
tell, but it had definition to it.
yes, they had, like, you could see the outline of a pine tree. You see the outline. You know what I
Okay.
mean? This thing was not a dog. The fact that people call this shocks me. Take these people, you know, because this, I mean, maybe there's a dogman like the government created, like a protector or whatnot. This was work. This was an absolute. I don't understand where this puppy phrase comes from. It shocks me. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
So,
But
okay, so now you guys are locked eyes. The thing's zeroed in on you. What happens next?
so this thing, we're eyes to eyes, and I'm looking at this thing, right? And all of a sudden, I feel like somebody threw a blanket on, and I feel this heaviness just right up on me, forcing me almost to my knees. You know what I mean? I feel this heavy force above me, dude, forcing me. And I'm looking at this thing. And I'm looking at this thing like this while feeling this heaviness above me, just forcing me down. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've talked to a few people, but I never told them this because I'm like, I don't think you're ready for this shit. You know what I mean? Because this is the experience that I felt in the presence. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at this thing's eyes to eyes, and I feel like this heaviness pushing above me, and I'm resisting. You know what I mean? Like I'm stopping this thing from forcing me on my knees. So I'm like forced to almost my knees, but I'm like fighting back. You know what I mean? And like a lot of people say when they saw Dogman, they feel fear. Well, no, dude, I was not afraid. You know what I mean? That's what gets me the most. That I was not afraid. You know what I mean? Like when I saw this thing, instead of feeling fear, I felt like this pulse, like this heart pulse from like the top of my head all the way down to my veins, just stretching. You know what I mean? And I felt like this power, like, you know what I mean? Like this fighting. I mean, like I was just pulsing this anger, this like what, like you know what I mean? Like this fighting. I don't know what it was. I'm still trying to figure this out. You know what I mean? This is gonna be tough because I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not afraid of this thing. I'm feeling like, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking this thing in the dead eye and I'm just sitting there just like berserking. And when I'm sitting there and I'm looking down, feeling like this pulse of like energy and like when I say pulse, I'm literally feeling like a bass drum top of my head, stretching all the way down to like my veins to like my finger. You know what I mean? Like I'm feeling like this pulse of like energy, you know? And I'm
Like
looking at
everything is heightened in your body. Whatever is affecting you, it's really heightened, and like you can feel the blood and everything. Yeah. Okay.
yes, so I'm feeling like the flow and I'm just the pulse, you know what I mean? The heaviness, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I'm looking at this thing face to face and I'm like, I'm gonna die here. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, dude, this wolf went from being big bad, you know what I mean? I went from being a little bit Riding Hood, you know what I mean, to like this wolf, like it looked at me and all of a sudden it dropped its fucking neck. All of a sudden it turned like this and turned back at me and all of a sudden it went
Like it was looking back and forth at something and looking at you.
like it's looking at me and it's looking at the light and it starts fucking, you know what I mean? It starts fucking going ape shit. You know? So I'm watching that this thing just go back and forth. You know what I mean? Feeling this heaviness pushing me down. And I'm looking at this thing, looking at the lights, looking at this thing, looking at the lights.
Sorry, just take a second. Take a second. It's all right.
So so I'm laying there, right? With one knee on the ground, looking up, and I look down, right? And when I shot my bow, Jerry heard it. Jerry heard the thump. You know what I mean? So Jerry turned around. And Jerry, I haven't talked to them about this, just to let you know. Like my buddy and his uncle, I never told them this because I wanted to figure out what it was first, then talk to them. That's where I get my truth from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm laying there on my knees, feeling. I'm feeling this heaviness. You know what I mean? I'm feeling this heaviness and pressure. The time, everything was frozen. Nothing could hear shit. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting here looking at these lights, looking at this thing. Crazy. I mean, like a raged. You know what I mean? And I'm looking down, looking up, looking down. All of a sudden, I snap out of it because Jerry put his hand on my shoulder. I mean, he put his hand on my shoulder. I look up, I look at him, and I look back, and like, it's gone. You know what I mean? In a blink of an eye, the lights are gone, Jerry's gone, and then Jerry looked at me, and Jerry goes, "Did you see anything?" And I'm looking at his fucking face. You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Fuck, I'm gonna die in I'm gonna die in the woods with Jerry." You know what I mean? Like, I didn't tell him anything. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see shit. I just looked at Jerry, told him that I didn't see anything. Right?
Was he asking you that because he heard you shoot the bow,
Yeah.
and he wondered if you saw it? So you don't think he saw what you saw as he's walking up?
Let me tell you this. I have a feeling that he knows this thing's out there, and he took us up. Knowing. You know what I mean? Like, when I first talked to somebody about this, like, it just snapped on me. I was like, Jerry must have known. How can you be out here coming out here all these years and not run into this thing? I mean, how can this be your secret spot and not see this?
What kind of guy is Jerry, knowing that something like that's out there and bringing you guests?
Let me tell you this. So, Jerry, J-Fan and Jerry, they were the type of friends to make me feel normal. Because I've lived with like the alien stuff and the whatever, and just it's nice not thinking about that shit and just being dumb as fuck, watch football and not worry about it,
Mm-hmm.
a normal person.
I gotcha. And then going out there and going hunting and just messing around and not playing in anything probably makes you feel more normal. And on this day, you're helping Jerry out anyway, because he's the one going through stuff. So, okay, so Jerry snaps you out of it, and you guys start heading back. Then what? Then what happens?
So I'm at the where Jerry put his arm on my shoulder is where I dropped that pin. Right.
Okay. Yep.
So I look at Jerry, and I look at Jerry and I look back, and I look at Jerry and I look back, and I didn't say shit. You know what I mean? And I proceeded to walk darkness. You know, if you look at the map that I sent you, there's a section where it zigzags down, and all of a sudden it reaches flat land.
Yeah.
We zigzag all the way down. And when I'm walking when you're walking. You know what I mean? I'm tracing your steps. You know what I mean? Just so that we can be less quiet and walk. You know what I mean? And we reach all the way down to the bottom. We get down to like where the pine trees are at. You know what I mean? We walk. You got to remember, we're at the very top of the valley. That's where I had my encounter. I'm deep in the woods. I'm a few miles in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the map. So you guys kind of made it down the service road, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay.
we made it down to and you see how there's like a little elbow right there. Where all of a sudden it looks straight.
Mm-hmm.
We get down to where it's flat, and before we get to that little curve, my fears became my phobias because I didn't say nothing to Jerry, and Jerry stopped, turned around, and told me that there's something wrong next to the right. I looked at Jerry and I was like, Jerry, put an arrow on your bow, your hand on your gun, could be a big buck. You know what I mean? I'm like, without me telling him it's a wolf, I'm just telling him right here, it could be a big ass deer. So just get whatever ready. We're gonna have to take something.
So
I'm just
he stops you guys because he knows there's something pacing you guys.
Yeah, he heard what I was hearing. Yes.
To your right. He's heard. Okay. All right.
Yes, he heard it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we hear it right, and I'm walking with an arrow and a gun, like both. Like I'm with a gun in one hand while almost pulling the arrows. You know what I mean? Because what do I do? Like I've never experienced it in my life. This is my first encounter. You know what I mean? So I tell Jerry to lock up, load up. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, before we get to that corner, J-Fan and Justin realized that there was a bunch of lights. There's people with flashlights where Jerry had his truck parked. You know what I mean? It's pitch black dark. You know what I mean? Here we are. We're thinking that they're going to steal shit. You know what I mean? We go night mode, and then we start pulling balls to where we're crouch running to not make like a stampede. So we're running with speed, but crouched down, trying to see if there was actually people stealing shit. You know?
You're trying to sneak up. You're trying to sneak up on them and get the drop on them is what you're.
Yeah, we're trying to sneak up on them.
Okay.
Yeah, because we thought it was people stealing shit. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's a werewolf behind me, but these guys don't know there's a werewolf. But these guys are more focused on the people in front. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they start taking off. We're walking, taking off on the right. And all of a sudden, all the flashlights just went dark. You know what I mean? And we dropped down to our knees and we sat there and looked for a second. And then we realized that these were like 8 to 10 people heavily armed. You know what I mean? Like you can tell they had heavy gear on, high caliber weapons. You know what I mean? And they were in off-road vehicles. They were in like UTVs, whatnot, because right there where the service is, they jumped the road across the railroads and parked. You know what I mean? So we realized that they weren't people stealing shit, and we thought they were parking. You know what I mean? And then I told you why we didn't run up to the park ranger because I didn't have my paperwork. Right? And Jerry decides to leave us there in the woods, right at the entrance. And Jerry goes, I'm going to leave because I know they're going to pull over and stop me and check me. I don't want to be checked when you don't have your license. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Genius, you know what I mean? Because I did stop by to get my license, but the machine was broken down. And instead of wasting a day and me sitting in there, my dumbass went and, you know what I mean?
It's okay. You can't get arrested for it now, so it's okay.
No, but I can't get arrested for it. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. So here I am in the middle of the woods, right? Jerry leaves, and all of a sudden, an entire fleet of like dudes in heavy weapons and UTV vehicles pull out and start chasing Jerry. They pulled him over and started questioning him, searching him, and he literally just went to the gas station to distract him and then come back and pick us. You know
which I can see on the map isn't really that far away.
Yeah. Oh, you saw the gas station?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you can see. Yeah, you can see it on the map. I pulled it out. I can see right where all this It is. Yeah.
You know, this encounter is real. This shit's real. Like I used to not believe in this. I mean, like it fucked my whole life up. It sent me down a spiral. You know what I mean? Especially for my first time out encounter. Most people just see this thing standing in the cornfield or chasing down, or me interacting with such a monster in the middle and in its playground, top it off. And like I'm in that slayer, you know?
Well,
And
I want to go back here to where it was looking back and forth. Okay. So you got the distinct impression that it was looking at you and looking over to where the lights were, which we can assume now really were 8 guys on ATVs. I mean, you almost got to assume it's the same guys, maybe, don't you?
couldn't be, because I went back and looked, and where I saw the lights, there's no way they could have
Also,
been.
okay. So it's a different. So those lights are different than the guys down there on the ATVs. That
Guys in the ATVs, they were waiting. They were not going to go in. I'll tell you that right now.
okay. But so you got the distinct impression that whatever this creature was either being controlled or being spoken to by whatever was these lights were.
I believe there was an interference, like something other than me and that Dogman or whatever werewolf, whatever you want to call it. It was, yeah, I mean, like those lights, the way it went, dude. This thing is a killing machine. Man. This thing is a monster.
So you got the impression that this thing could have, and this is what we, I mean, I think, we hear all the time is whether it was a Bigfoot, whether it was a Dogman, whatever entity you kind of run out into, if it wanted to hurt you, it certainly could, and there'd be nothing you could do about it. Is this?
This thing was a killing machine. This thing was built, and I'm telling you, this thing was so. This thing was. I don't think they could stop it. To be honest, like if one of these monsters walked into the city, they're not going to stop.
And see there, so okay. So I mean, and I told you this before, I'm not sure you just saw if there is such a thing, everyday ordinary Dogman. And I mean, I told you before, I'm not a huge conspiracy guy of, the government's doing this or the government's doing that, and that they know, all this stuff. But I really, truly I'm leaning towards you were in the middle of an exercise and you just happened to, you guys just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that there was something that was controlling this being, whatever this creature. And that's what, and that's what essentially saved you guys, is that these lights or whatever they were, whoever was in control of them, was speaking or communicating with this thing. It's like, no, you can't just go kill those guys. And that was, you said the thing was like looking back and forth really fast. And it was probably, I mean, and I'm just, this is just my imagination, but it's probably like going against everything it's instinctually or it's built or programmed to do. Okay. And it's being told not to go after you guys, but it wants to go after you, and it's the confliction of, what do you mean? This is what I'm built for. This is what I'm programmed for. And you're telling me no. Okay. Because I will tell you this, having relatives who work in the state forest they're rangers and stuff. There's not 8 or 10 people showing up for one truck to check out one truck in the parking lot after dark.
I know.
There's no way. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I don't even know that some of these places have 10 people working at one time. You know what I'm saying? They're completely understaffed, most of them. So and I want, when we talked about this, this is the story I wanted you to tell, because I want to know who else out there has had a similar experience where they came across a creature or encountered a creature, but there was also something else out there, because you definitely know there was something else out there. Okay. Whether it was alien, whether,
no, I know what you're talking about, because you gotta remember, I still felt that emptiness. I felt like somebody threw a blanket over.
Yeah.
And I'll think of that, dude, I was not afraid. I felt like this power, this rage, this fighting urge. And like this out. This feeling like this rage, even in front of us. And like, that's just that's the part that I get lost in. And like seeing it, the lights, seeing the agents, that spiritual realm of what you feel when you're in this presence. Like that's what still working.
Yeah, and it's really strange to have, because you're right, most people do not get the feeling of, okay, I'm going to fight this thing. I'm going to go toe to toe with this thing. Most people don't get that feeling. Most people are scared to death. So are you getting so here's the question, and I know you don't know the answer, but here's the question is, were you feeling what that thing was feeling? Or were you feeling something that was coming from somebody else trying to communicate with that creature? Like, were they trying to, settle it down, put the weight on top, like calm down and get a hold of yourself, sort of thing, and then, like, were you in the middle of that communication back and forth between those two, the creature and whatever entities were in control of it? That's what comes to mind to me, is like, you might have been caught in the middle, and because you are very spiritual and are super open to other things, maybe you were open to that and it affected you, that they had no idea. Maybe they have no idea that it's affecting you. This is something that's, they are, work on between themselves, if that makes any sense. Maybe you were just experiencing what was going on between those two entities. And,
what I felt and the way it reacted, I can't even show you how it reacted, because I'm in shock. Like it gets really intense. The way it goes back and forth. The way it doesn't just go back and forth like this. It goes back and forth, and it twists this neck, this, and it's a very intense, and it's very intense. Very intense.
Jeez. I don't know, man. But this is, this is why I wanted you to tell the story, because there's so many unknowns, and I just hope that somebody listening, I hate to say it, has experienced the same thing, because I could see how it is affecting you. It's still affecting you deeply. Okay. But I'm hoping that somebody else hears this and is like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. I experienced the same thing. And maybe we can, maybe we can start piecing together a connection or figuring out some sort of answer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now you were down in and I want to, so everybody knows you were down in the Shawnee State Forest, right? And so you're close to the Ohio River.
Yeah, I'm right next to it.
Yeah.
I'm literally right next. And there's a campground because we stayed there for 2 days. I went back the next day just to let you. Like I'm that stupid. You know what I mean? I went back the next day, but Jathan and Jerry did not want to hike that deep into the woods because they're just lazy and they didn't see shit. So they were just like, I'm just gonna. But me, dude, I want to go back in there. You know what I mean? And if you look at the map, the second day we walked in there to start zigzagging, and the second loop I pulled to the left, and my buddy Jathan pulled to the right, and that's where we stayed the second day.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, I went back, dude. Like I went crazy for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I got and then I realized that it's not just there's different. I learned that there's so many different varieties of dogman, and some of it are like spiritual that you can see while taking ayahuasca, DMT, whatever. You know what I mean? And there's also a genetic version. You know what I mean? Where the government does this thing, and there's also like an alien. Some of these things. Some of God's creations has something ancient that has been here before us, and we are barely just touching it. You know what I mean? There's so much to it, man. I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you, Ruben, is I think the rest of your stories, we definitely have to do a part 2. We definitely need to do a part 2. We need to have you back on and talk about some of these other things. But I want this story to stand by itself, because I want people to focus in on this and not lose sight of some of the other stuff that's happened to you. Because I do really want people to listen to this and talk. I would talk to some people and try to figure out if more people have had these similar experiences, especially in Southern Ohio down there in Shawnee State Park. So. Yeah. So with that being said, Ruben, I appreciate how difficult this, parts of this the story was to relive and tell. I appreciate that you felt comfortable enough to come on here and share it with me and share it with our listeners. And I encourage anybody that listened to this episode that has questions for Ruben, send them to me. I'll get them to Ruben. Because we definitely, I know you want answers. If anybody can help shed some light in this, get a hold of us, because that's what we want to do. We want to help. We want to help everybody, especially Ruben. We want Ruben to know what the heck is out there. And if you're a government agency listening and just shoot me a text or whatever, and we'll I won't pass no. We won't share it over the air. We'll just tell Ruben. So he's not. So Ruben, thank you so much, man, for sharing this story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just want to get out there because, like I said, someone has to figure this out.
I agree.
Someone has to figure this out, and there's obviously a reason why some of us are experiencing different levels of it. But I don't know. Maybe next time I'll share with you everything that I've found out so far. And it's crazy. It involves bigger things than us.
No, I'm looking forward to another conversation about this for sure. So thanks, man. I
No,
appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me say something about this.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.
God only knows what time.